It has been 3 months since I last posted, so I decided to make my return by building Squid Game in BLOXBURG. So let's get straight into this video. Okay, so I've already done the layout off camera, but let me tell you what is actually in this layout. I will be building red light, green light, the Honeycomb game, glass stepping stones and Mingle of course, as well as the rest bathing and the stairway. So let me show you the layout. Here's where all the beds are gonna go, as well as the money. Over here will be the stairway to each of the areas. Above that leads to the iconic red light, green light. Then heading upstairs we have Mingle, ignore how it's an oval and not a circle. Anyways, on the other side to that is the Honeycomb game. And lastly, upstairs we have the glass stepping stones game. Now that you know the layout, I'm gonna build where the beds are stored and the money. To start off with, I'm adding a wall trim on the second wall, and then underneath that I'm colouring it to be a tile texture. And that tile texture is going to be for the wall trim as well. So I'm just colouring the walls to be the tile colour as well as the wall trim. And above the tiles it's like this bluish greenish colour, so I recreated that with my colour wheel. And I think this colour is as close as I'm gonna get with it, and of course I coloured all the walls to be the same colour. And now if you look at the photos, I'll insert a picture here. It's got like this weird arch area where the guards go. So that is what I'm trying to recreate. But while you watch me recreate it, I just want to say I'm so sorry for not posting. I've been so busy with school and I've also gotten demotivated. But hopefully I'm back and I'm here to stay. Also, I have almost 200 subscribers. What? That's crazy. I just wanted to thank you guys so much, and all your comments really mean so much to me. You guys are all so kind. Anyways, back onto the build, I'm adding a roof to the area, as well as getting a door. So I couldn't find any good doors, so I just ended up using the garage door, which kind of looks better, I feel like. And then for more accuracy, I got these LED lights and wrapped it around the garage door. So now that we have that done, I decided to outline the arch because it looked like it had that in the photos. Again, here's a photo in case you guys don't know what it looks like. Once I finished outlining the area, I decided to do these pillars, which also were outlined, and I added these to each corner of the build. Just like this. I didn't bother making them perfect, so just ignore it, don't pay too much attention. Anyways, the next step was to add the floor of course, and I made it like a slate texture, and this was the yellowy colour I decided. Almost like a sandstone. Another thing I quickly decided to add was this little TV above it, which I assume has like the players on it. I don't really know, I've only watched season 1 and that was ages ago. Anyways, the most important part of this room is probably the beds, so I'm just adding these bunk beds around for cheapness and also because I was too lazy to make custom bunk beds. So here's how I coloured it, just basic. They're all black with white sheets, and I just decided to place them around. I also discovered that you can stack bunk beds. I did not know that, so that's exactly what I did for more accuracy. And next to them I added just the regular bunk beds, and this is eventually what it turned out to look like. Very cluttered. And then I decided to skip to me doing the roof and the piggy bank, and this is how the first room turned out. Next is red light, green light. I'm honestly so excited to start this. So to begin with, I decided to do a tree for whatever reason. I mean, it was in the photos I was looking at, so accuracy I guess. Anyways, I just resized that to a better size and then started colouring the walls. Once the walls were coloured, I realised I wanted to make the floor a little bit more yellowy, so that's exactly what I did, and I'd like this colour a little more for red light, green light. Now I'm working on the little like areas where everyone comes out to actually start the game. They're like little mini houses. So I'm just colouring them all to be concrete, and then I'm using garage doors as the doors. They looked most accurate to the photos I was looking at, and then they were like a greyish colour, so I made them like a greyish blue, and this is how it turned out. As for the roofs, I just used the hollow mansard roof and placed them onto each one of the little building things. I think these roofs really made it look like Squid Game in the end, but for the color and the texture, this roof tile was the perfect texture, and I just tried to get an accurate looking orange, and this is how it ended up looking. I just made it a little lighter, and that's what I stuck with. On each of the little building things, they all had like a little mini chimney, so I did that by using a BLOXBURG chimney and then colouring it to be all concrete and one colour, and that went onto each of them. I then realised there was another building over by the trees, so I decided to quickly make that one up. And there we go. Now I think for the most important part, which is time to build the doll. You guys can kind of just watch what I'm doing, but I'm starting off with the skirt with some basic shapes. I think the doll turned out okay, but the face, I got a bit lazy with it as per the rest of the build, but I still think it turned out good, so stay tuned to see what it all looked like. But as you can see, I am doing this skirt and just trying my best to make it look somewhat accurate. But then again, this is basic shapes, there's not much you can do. Unless you're like a pro with basic shapes, which I am definitely not. I just wing everything until I'm satisfied with it. Also guys, if you have any video suggestions, please let me know in the comments and I will get around to doing them. Anyways, moving back onto the doll, I started on her face and her hair. I used the half spear to make her bangs, and then I used a spear so it didn't look like she was bald. For her pigtails, I just made little ovals and placed them on each side of her head until I was happy with their placements, and I coloured them. For the arms, I just used whatever and did it as I go. So we've got the sleeves of her shirt, and then I just made her arms, her feet, and this was her face. Don't ask, okay? I didn't know what to do with it. You know what? She's fine. She's a doll. Anyways, for the background, I thought it was a bit bare, so I got this like grass decal, and I just sized it up to the biggest it would go and placed it anywhere I could. And then with the like little bare spaces between them, I got the grass in BLOXBURG and made it like a yellowy colour, and also placed them in between it. Once I finished with that, I decided to add some gardening around the place, which I think really pulled through with this build. Like, this is what I mean by I think it pulled through. I really think it did. I also did the roof and added a heap of lights, and yeah. And then I realized I wanted some clouds in this area to make it feel more childlike. So I just did that by using round paintings and making them white and making them into cloud shapes, and I put that everywhere. Now that red light, green light is done, I wanted to start on Mingle because that was the one thing I was dreading. To start with, I just placed a marble white floor, and then I got a basic shape and put that right in the center. I made the cylinder as big as it would go and made it into like a platform type of thing. Then I decided to use a carpet and make it the biggest it would go. Once done, I just placed the basic shape on top, and it needed to be coloured red, so that's exactly what I did. And then I got distracted and decided to move on to the doors, so I added the doors anywhere I could. I really hate how they're spread and not even, but you know what, it's fine. Anyways, I moved back onto the carousel part, and I was just trying to follow the photo I was looking at, so I will insert a picture here. This is where the horses sit on, so I'm just making that little platform. This is supposed to be gold, and in between it is supposed to be white. Loki kind of looks like an ice cream sandwich. Anyways, for the poles that the horses sit on, I used pillars and made them as thin as they can go. And above each one, I decided to add these bows from the Christmas update because they had bows above them. For the horses themselves, I got these horses from the Panda Girl. Her Mingle build was so good. I wish I could build as well as she did. If you continue to watch this video, you will see how bad my attempt of Mingle was. But you know what? It's fine. I continued to try and push through for you guys. Anyways, on the pillars, I decided to add spears onto each of them to make them look a bit more elegant. And then for the little stand for the horses, they had like this little detail which I was making out of basic shapes. Here's how that turned out, and I just added it to each side. For the entrance, I just added these curtains because they look elegant and it's supposed to look like a circus tent, I feel like. And to actually get in, I added a basic door frame. Anyways, that left us to colour the doors, and they're just pretty much in rainbow order. So, yeah, that's exactly what I did, and this is what they ended up looking like. I tried to make them as accurate as I could, but the spaces between the doors are really annoying me. Anyways, in between each of the door, they had like a gold pillar, so that's exactly what I included. Just like so. And then I did a bit more off camera to try and salvage what I had going on here. I didn't really save it and it still looks pretty horrendous. But you know what? It's fine, you get the vision. Okay, so now I needed to work on the roof. So my idea was to add these basic shapes around the whole of the roof and just colour them red. And then I used my Transform Plus tool to push them inside of the roof to give it the circus ceiling vibe, and that's how it turned out, which left me to do the actual top part of the roof. Not gonna lie, I didn't try too hard with the top part, so it looks a bit questionable, but just don't look at it too hard and you will be fine. But I think that was pretty much it for like the detailing. I just needed to brighten it up. So I just got light boxes and placed them around. I placed them on the roof to also brighten it up. And I think that's pretty much it for Mingle. And that means I can move on to another room, which is the Honeycomb game. So the vibe of it's pretty similar to Red Light Green Light in terms of the colours. So I just coloured the floor and the walls to be the same colour as Red Light Green Light. On this side of the wall, it had 4 doors which I included, but I messed up the walls, so I quickly did that. These 4 doors are what includes the honeycomb things. Anyways, you'll see me draw the symbols of them later, but right now I'm adding the clouds because in the actual room itself, it does have these clouds, as you can see. And here's how that turned out. And now it was time to make the symbols for each of the doors. So first I'm starting off with the circle. And I'm just making it through basic shapes because I thought it would be easier, and it was. I can't imagine trying to make a circle out of structures. I feel like it would be very messy. So that is my circle. Next to the circle was the triangle, so I made that out of structural beams, specifically the small square beam, and I just painted that to be red once it was done. And here's how the triangle turned out. It's a bit wonky, just don't look at it too hard. Anyways, now I'm working on the star. Also don't look at this too hard, it was also quite wonky. But you know what, my star's gorgeous to me, so if you have anything to say about it, I'm gonna cry. If I got to choose which one I wanted to do, I'd probably do the triangle. I feel like that's the safest bets. Anyways, as you can see, I'm colouring it to be yellow. And then now I'm working on the umbrella, which was somehow easier than the star to draw, so that is great. Here's how it turned out, and then I just needed to colour it to be a blue. And here's how all the symbols turned out. It's starting to look really recognisable now. Anyways, looking at a lot of the online images, they had like these little fences wrapped around this honeycomb room. I don't know if that's what it's actually called. Anyways, yeah, it had this cool fence wrapped around the place, so I decided to make one out of basic shapes. So that is exactly what I'm doing, except I won't be able to place this around the whole area because I'm too broke for that, but I did place it in a few areas. Now that I placed my little fences, it was time to make the really large pieces of play equipment. So I started off by making the slide because I thought that would be the easiest, so I grabbed a ladder and a basic shape to make the swoop of the slide. And I just coloured the slide to be green and the ladder to be yellow. For the next piece of equipment, I decided to make a large swing set, so I used pillars to help me out with the making of it. And I just used square beams to make the frame of the swing set, and I coloured that to be red. Now all I need for this swing set is for the swings itself. So I used the pillars to help me make straight lines, so I just drew on the pillars and made sure I had 4 ropes. That way I can attach 2 swings onto each of them. And I just did that by using a basic shape and using my Transform Plus tool to bring it up, And then I decided to make this one look like it's kind of broken, except it was just like an error I did and I just couldn't be bothered to fix it, so I made it into something. Anyways, for the last piece of equipment, I decided to make monkey bars. This was pretty easy. I just made the frame and then drew the handles of it. It didn't turn out the best. All the things were a bit wonky, but you know what? It's fine. It's more dangerous, and Squid Game is dangerous. And I just colored that to be yellow, and for a little extra details, I just decided to add dirt piles around the place, as well as a few pieces of grass. And of course, we need lighting, so I just copied the roof in red light, green light, and did it in the honeycomb area. And here is how it turned out. Now finally for the last game, glass stepping stones. So I made the star and then I used a floor to actually put the glass panels onto. I just made these out of translucent squares and I sized them down to be flat and then wrapped the LED lights around each of them. And I'm placing them into each grid. For some extra detail, I added these lines of LED lights because I saw in a lot of the photos I was looking at, they each had them. So I added it for accuracy, and this is what it turned out like without the floor. Looking pretty good in my opinion. I knew I wanted to add a chandelier into this area, so I included that. Anyways, in this clip I was kind of experimenting, but none of this stuff ended up staying, so just ignore what I have going on right now. A thing I saw in the photos I was looking at, it had like these purple LED lights which I decided to include. And here's how that turned out. I think the glass bridge looks really good. Anyways, for extra detail, I decided to add these fairy lights along the wall every 3 grids. And I just colored that to be orange and I placed that around the whole room. For the finishing area, I decided to line it with these LED lights and make that orange as well, and then color the platform to be black. I remember seeing this arch in the photos as well, so I decided to include it, except it kind of looks goofy and I kind of regret adding it, but you know what, it's fine. I also decided to line the whole area with orange LED lights, which I really think pulled the build together in the end. And for the most important part, I colored the whole room to be black to make it look dark. And then it just needed a roof, so I got the hollow mansard roof and made it as tall as it can go. And I colored it to be black, of course, to make it look scary, and I placed the chandelier on the 3rd floor instead to make a little more sense. And now here's where I added my favorite part. I used these fairy lights and added them anywhere I could to make it look like a circus, because it has like the little swoop and I just thought it would be perfect, and I think it literally pulled this whole build together. So that is exactly what I did. I just placed them around, and you can't tell me that does not look good, because it does look good, thank you very much. Anyways, I just quickly worked on this little area to start off in, and that was pretty much it for this area. And now I'm gonna do a bit off camera and it'll be the tour. It is now officially the time to tour the Squid Game build. So there's not actually a proper entry to this area, so we have to walk in through these burrows, through the secret door, and this leads into the dormitory area, I guess. And we got our little piggy bank, of course, where all the money will be. So this is how it turned out. I think it turned out okay. Anyways, we have like these little fake doors which are like little toilets which literally lead to nothing, but this one leads out into freedom. Moving on, we have the stairway area. Don't critique it too hard, I know it was done in less than 10 minutes, okay? Anyways, behind this stair area, we have the red light, green light area. You have to enter through like these silly little doors, but you know what, it's fine, it's for the aesthetic. Anyways, here is the beloved and iconic red light, green light area. We have my twin over there. We've got the like lights everywhere, we got some clouds. I personally think this is one of my favorite rooms. I think my twin looks really good, except for the face. Do not critique. I swear, no one better say anything about her face. She's gorgeous and she's beautiful. Anyways, when you win, you can go through this little area, which will lead you down this very long hallway. Once you make it down this hallway, it will lead you into the starting area of red light, green light, but of course you don't need to play it again and you can walk up the stairs now. Heading upstairs, there's 2 ways to go, but I'm gonna go into Mingle first. This is my version of Mingle. Definitely not as good as some of the others I've seen, but you know what? It's fine and it's not terrible. Also, if you go through the doors, you will fall to your death. Anyways, let's move on. So when we go to the other doorway, which is over here, it leads to the Honeycomb game. I think this one is actually my favorite area. I think it looks most accurate except for the equipment. I just decided to make my own stuff. But it's cute. We have the doors, our big equipment, and yeah, that's pretty much it in here. And for the last area, it is up on the 3rd floor, which is the glass bridge game. I forgot what it's called already. Anyways, you have to climb up this ladder, which is kind of a struggle, but you know what? You get there in the end. Look, ready? Attempt number 2, and I just gotta jump backwards, and we made it to the glass bridge game. I think this one looks pretty cool as well. I really like the fairy lights and how it made it actually look like a circus tent. And you don't really need to participate in this game, you just run along the bridge and it leads you to freedom. Anyways, that concludes today's video. If you guys would like to see more from me in the future, definitely leave a like and subscribe. And if you have other video ideas, definitely comment them down below. Anyways, that's it, bye!